There are these invisible battles being fought all around us, every single day. And I'm not talking about with armies or weapons, but with rules, with codes, and with numbers. These are the quiet conflicts that are literally shaping our modern world. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on them.
So let's start with a question that sounds, well, kind of absurd. Why are the world's top aviation experts, the very people in charge of getting millions of us safely across the sky, why are they fighting over a single zero? It honestly sounds like the setup to a bad joke, but I promise you, this is a real, high-stakes argument that's happening right now.
And the disagreement itself is deceptively simple. On one side, you have a group of experts who insist a runway has to be labeled 09. On the other side, you've got an equally powerful group saying, no way, it's just 9. That's it. It's just one tiny character, but it represents a massive global divide.
But here's the thing. This isn't really about runways. These little squabbles are actually skirmishes in a much bigger, silent war over the fundamental rules that make our world run. It's a conflict over the very blueprint of our global systems. Okay, so that brings us to the big idea here. What exactly do we mean when we talk about this war over standards? Let's break it down.
First, we need to talk about what we call invisible standards. Just think of them as the hidden operating system of our planet. They're the rules we never see, the codes we never think about, that make sure a shipping container from China fits on a truck in America, or that your email actually gets to the right person. We completely take them for granted, but without them, our entire modern world would just stop.
And that's where the problem starts. When these powerful invisible systems don't line up, when one country's way of doing things clashes with another's, it creates what we're calling universal friction. It's the drag, the extra cost, and the risk that pops up when a world that's so connected can't agree on the basics.
All right, let's look at probably the most classic example of this friction, one you've definitely run into yourself, the long and honestly very stubborn war over how we measure stuff.
For literally over 200 years, there's been this huge global push for one single unified way to measure things, the metric system. And it makes sense, right? It's logical, it's based on tens, and it makes science and trade so much easier for everyone. And this is where it gets kind of wild. Just look at these numbers. A staggering 95% of the world's nations have officially adopted the metric system. I mean, the consensus is overwhelming. And yet, you've got this small but very influential 5% of countries that are still holding out. Which leads to the obvious question, right? If the system is so clearly beneficial and pretty much the entire world is on board, why on earth would any country refuse to make the switch? Is it just being difficult for the sake of it?
Well, the answer is actually a lot deeper than that. As this quote gets at, it's not just about swapping out some numbers. For these holdouts, units like miles, pounds, and gallons are baked into their culture, their history, their very identity. To change them feels like giving up a piece of who you are.
So we have these clashes, right, from runway numbers to measurement systems. But what are the actual consequences? I mean, why does this universal friction really matter in the real world?
Oh, the costs are very, very real. First, and this is the big one, safety. Think about that pilot used to one set of standards, landing in a country that uses another. In an industry where a split-second decision is everything, that tiny moment of confusion can be incredibly dangerous. Then there are the economic barriers. Companies have to design and build different versions of the same product just to sell them in different markets. It's a huge, inefficient cost. And finally, it actually slows down progress. Imagine these massive global projects like space exploration, where scientists are constantly having to convert data and double-check units, risking errors that could set back years of work.
So, when you add it all up, every single one of these little disagreements, no matter how small they seem, just adds another layer of cost, another layer of complexity, and another layer of risk to our deeply interconnected world. It's like pouring sand into the gears of global civilization. And that really leaves us with one final, and I think pretty crucial question. In a world that's facing huge, immense challenges that demand global cooperation, things like climate change or pandemics, can we truly afford to keep fighting over the small stuff?